Hello, crafty friends, and welcome back to another late night crafting with me, Revati. It's really late night. It's almost 12:15 here in Washington, and yes, we are crafting. It's Saturday night, and we are crafting. So today, I will be actually recreating something. This is a leftover stamped and die cut piece that I have. So earlier this afternoon, I took a Zoom class where I created the bridge card. Now I have some leftovers from this, so we will recreate this design but on a flat card, not a three-dimensional card. So we'll keep it simple but make something really beautiful out of it. So I will start with my floral. I'll be using the same exact colors for this card as well. So I have yellows and beautiful teals on my background. Now all the colorings, I'm using Altenews mini ink cubes, and we will be using yellow for our flowers. I have mild yellow and lemonade stand. Now this flower comes from Build a Garden Nature's Magic stamp set. This is one of the older sets. This does have coordinating dies and stencils, which is something that I absolutely love having in my stash. Okay, let's get started. So this image is stamped using pigment ink, and I added some embossing powder over it. So that's why you see there's a beautiful shine around the image. But if you do not like adding embossing powder, definitely use your dye inks and make sure the ink is completely dried up before you add any kind of ink blending, be it ink blending using stencils or even if you're using your alcohol markers. Just make sure all of this ink is completely dried up. Okay, now we have two layers on the stencil. This will create the base layer for all the petals, and this will give you a little more detailed layer to the petals. And we have greens for the leaves. Okay, let's get started with layer number 1. I'm using mild yellow for layer number 1. Okay. So the initial thing is aligning this, which is something I always struggle with, but it's not very difficult. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple. This might take some time, but well, we are here, so let's just figure this out. Let's just go here. Once you figure it out, I think it's pretty simple after that. And then it's just the initial struggle that I always have. And it's not just with this one, it's most of the floral images that I do. I tend to struggle a lot initially, but then once I get the hang of it, I almost figure it out. Okay. There's definitely a bit of a struggle here, I feel. How does this go? Wow, I really didn't have this much of a struggle in the morning when I crafted with this, but right now, definitely struggling. If it wasn't a live session, I would definitely just go fast and, like, finish it off. But well, let's take our time. It's really late night, so I think I can give that concession as well. So I'm pretty sure this one goes here. Okay, now I know why it was not lining up. And like I said, it's pretty easy to line up. It's just the initial struggle. And well, my struggle was I was holding the stencil upside down. So, well, my bad. Okay. For the first layer, I'm using mild yellow. Now, all of these stencils are numbered here, so it's easy that way. My bad, I didn't see that, and I was using the stencil upside down. Yeah, I definitely need some patience. Not some patience, but a lot of patience. It's been a busy morning and busy day entirely. Yep. I will add a generous amount of ink because this is a base layer, and I will just add a little bit of extra ink on the centers. It won't show up a lot, but it is definitely a lot more than what we have on the edges here. You can definitely use a detailed blending brush for this, but I am okay using just this mini blending brush. Next, I'll take this part and line it up with the remaining. You see how easy that was? All right. I'll use the same exact shade because this again is the base layer. I will first add ink to all the petals and then again go back with a little extra ink and add just to the centers. That will give me a beautiful gradient. So layer number 1 on my petals is done. I will move on to layer number 2, which will give you these details on our flowers. Again, I'll make sure I'm not holding the stencil upside down. For this one, I'll take the next shade, which is Lemonade Stand. I am generously applying this shade on the open areas of the stencil. So when I peel the stencil, you'll see the difference between the two layers and the two shades of colors. See that? What I'm talking about. Okay. Now this stencil has areas, openings where we can add color to our leaves. So we can line that up easily. The leaves again have two layers, one for the base layer and this one will add the details just like how we added on the flowers. Now for this one, I'm using fresh leaf and reindeer moss. Fresh leaf for the base layer and I'll use reindeer moss for the detail layer. Now this shade of green is a lot different than what I used in my last live, which was the Mediterranean glow. That gives more of a rustic look. This gives more of a brighter look. Now this card is what we created with the Mediterranean glow shade and this one is with the fresh leaf. Beautiful shades of green, but it really depends on what kind of tone you're going for. For this card, I'm going for a little more of a vibrant color palette rather than a warm rustic look. Now, so that was the base layer. Now, all we have to do is align the stencil again and add the darker shades. For that, I'm using reindeer moss, which is the darkest green in this color family. All right. So with that, our focal point image is done. I will keep my ink pads aside. And now we can work on our background. Now for this card, we have a beautiful textured background. This is something that I created using the textured tiles embossing folder. I absolutely love this 3D embossing folder. It gives a beautiful texture on our card. And for the colors, I used Aqua Island. I have Pool and Teal Tempest. These two shades. I will skip the Mystic Lake. So I have already embossed my panel and I absolutely love the detailing on this. It's a very stone wall kind of a panel. Usually if I'm using this embossing folder, I would go for grays and browns. But this time I wanted to experiment with colors, and something that I love with yellow is teal. That's the reason I chose teal for my background. Now, since this is a stone wall look, we are not looking for precise ink blending. We will add color randomly around this panel. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I will start with Pool and very roughly add color to different parts of this panel. So if you'll see, there's darker shade of teal here, whereas here it's a lot lighter. That is exactly what we are looking for. I'm not looking for a very detailed or precise ink blending here. If I wanted to have a precise ink blending, I would definitely go for a larger blending tool. But for this one, I like to use smaller blending brush. So I will add ink all over this panel. You'll see I still have some of that white showing, which is exactly what I want. I will now take the darker shade and do the same thing, but I will not cover the entire panel. I'll just add this darker shade to some places on this panel, just to add that little pop of color. This is the exact same technique I would do if I was using a wood grain like texture. I would use different shades of browns or grays, or maybe experiment with like bright colors like these. But I would keep the blending as is. What I'm doing here, very splotchy, not at all perfect. So here I have a lot darker, and here it's almost white, which is exactly what I want. All right. So that is done. Next, we'll add some splatters to this. This we have some black splatters on our background here. If you wanted, you could definitely skip that step, but let's just try adding some splatters to our card panel here. Mm. For my splatters, I usually prefer using the Simon Says Stamp splatter medium. You could use anything that you have in your stash, but definitely shake this quite a bit so that the pigment mixes and you get an even coverage of that black color. I'll just go and get my splatter box. If you've watched my videos, you know how much I love my splatters. So, well, here it is. Now, how I like to do splattering is pick up some of that ink on a paintbrush and gently tap it on the panel. Now, this technique also does not have to be precise. You could splatter as much or as little as you want. Now, in my original card, I also have some gold splatters. So let's do that one also. I'm using the gold splatter medium. Now this one, you'll see the pigment is settled here, so it needs a shake. You could also just put in your ink brush and just mix it around, but I prefer shaking the bottle rather than mixing it. The only fear I have while opening this bottle is I should not be spilling all that ink. I don't want all that beautiful splatter to go to waste and spoil my work surface. Well, I will add a few more. And that's it. While this panel dries, I will talk a little about the bridge card that we created. So I do have a video tutorial of a bridge card, a different design on the front, but I will leave a link to that video in the description box below. Please be sure to check it out. Now, this is something, an interactive card. This particular card is A2 size. It'll fit inside your A2 size envelopes. And once you open it, it stands perfectly well. So you could set it on your table or your mantle. It'll look absolutely beautiful there with all those intricate details and the coloring. I think this looks really beautiful. It's a display piece, definitely. And when you turn it around, you also have space to write your message. And this card behind has a little something from the card front. This is a very easy interactive card, easier than I would say shaker cards, and something I feel I would be doing a lot. You could definitely substitute these floral elements with even a sentiment strip. So that would be your bridge. So basically, this is your bridge. Your main focal point element is your bridge here. Now, other floral elements that I would use on this would be this big one right here. This is from the Garden Gala set. And this is the one I used for my last live. And I would definitely prefer using this over this bridge. Not over this stamp, but yeah, if I was recreating this card using another floral set, I would definitely go for this. Another one you could use is the arched foliage. This particular stamp would go beautifully on this, and you could definitely create bigger 5x7 cards also using this. I absolutely love this design, a color combination that is new to me. I would have never thought of adding teals on a wall light background. Usually I would go with grays, browns, natural, neutral colors, but this was definitely a pop of color that I needed on my card. And when I was stamping, I just went on to create multiple floral images. That's the leftover that we are using today. And this is how it looks. So I'm using the same exact colors, but you'll see this is a lot brighter than this one. So once this has time to settle down, the color will soften. So that's something with these inks. Initially, if you blend, you feel it's a lot darker, but don't worry, the color will tone down as it settles into the paper. Okay. Now I want to pop this piece onto my card front. So I will go ahead and add some foam tape to this. I'm using these little foam circles because this one has like very little dimension, and especially when I'm using embossing folders or embossed backgrounds, I like to use foam tape instead of liquid glue or double-sided tape because I feel the foam tape really holds everything in place as compared to liquid glue or double-sided tape. So if you have smaller pieces like this, all you need to do is cut them into smaller pieces and you can add them wherever you need. My panel is almost dry. I will go ahead and stick my floral piece right there, or let's see how I like it. It go this way, maybe this way. And then I have a sentiment also ready, which I want to add or just probably nestled in between this. That looks good. So we can remove our foam, the backing from the foam tape. Now, what I like to do is I do have foam tape behind, but instead of just directly adhering this, I like to add some little drops of liquid glue. That'll make sure, like, I have some wiggle room before I finally commit this big focal point on my card background. Because once it sits with the foam tape, it's a little difficult to peel it out. I don't want to risk tearing either my background or this beautiful panel. So not a lot of glue, just little dabs of glue here and there, just to make the foam tape a little slippery. And there you have it. And this one can be nestled in right here. I will take it as inside as possible to cover this sharp edge. Now for this one, I will lay it flat on my panel instead of popping it up. I will carefully slide it there, and since this is liquid glue, you still have some wiggle room there. And that's it. Our card is ready. So we have our bridge pop-up and the same exact design, which I replicated on a flat card. I hope you enjoyed this short video today, a short live, and thank you for joining me. Bye. Good night.